Good morning, guys. So today we are going to fix a couple of my mistakes. The first of which is going to be these 6 wires here for my heater grips. We basically just need to wire up these 2 connectors right here so we can plug back into the stock harness. The second of which will be from my ski rubber here that I kind of buggered up last season. You can see that it punctured the ski rubber here, so we need to get that replaced. So if you're one of those types of people that really doesn't know a lot about electrical, or you like to use these little kinds of guys to connect your wires, well, you need to stop it. Stop it right now and throw this away. Just like that. Now, the 2 acceptable ways to connect a wire, in my opinion, are either to solder them, which I unfortunately do not have a solder gun with me at the moment, or using these little watertight butt connectors that uses this heat shrink on either end to shrink down and create a watertight seal. So if you're like me and you decided to go with the cheaper heater grips that did not come with this OEM Polaris style connector, make sure you cut off the wire from your old heater grips, and then you'll simply just measure from where the new heater grip starts to where your OEM Polaris connector is located. Now, I've already done so on mine, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it on both of them. Make sure they're about even. Alright, next up you're going to want to get this black heat shrink off. So cut down just a little bit, not too much, so you're not completely piercing wires, about right there. And then you should be able to follow that all the way around, just so you make a nice even line all the way around, and you should be able to pull it right off. So now that we have our 3 wires here, we're going to go ahead and strip them down. Unfortunately, my wire strippers here don't go to that proper gauge, unfortunately, so I do need to use my knife to get it down to the proper one here. So when you're stripping wires with a knife, be very, very careful not to pierce all the way through. You want to go really slowly, just like when you cut down on the heat shrink there. And obviously you don't want to cut yourself either. Just enough to where you can start to see the wire inside. Just make small incisions, and you should be able to pull it right off. And then go ahead and do that to the other 2. Alright, and when you're all done, it should look something like this. Next up, we're going to go ahead and put on one of our little butt connectors. Now you're probably asking why I left this wire so long like that. Sometimes with these butt connectors, the inside is a little bit too big, so you have to double up the exposed wire here to be able to get enough in there so that it doesn't pull out when you do the pull test. Alright, now that that's done, let's get our butt connector back on there. Fits like a charm. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and crimp that down, give it a little pull test. Don't pull it too hard, otherwise you will pull the wire out. Just give it a little tug, and that's all you need. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done, and we'll see you in just a minute. Alright, just like that, we got all 6 done. Now we can move on to the sled. Alright, and on the sled side of things, it'll be pretty easy to match up white to white, red to red, blue to black. And just like that, we're all good to go. We just need to shrink up the heat shrink on here, and then we can wrap it. I didn't realize it until after I was done, but I forgot to hit the record button. Essentially, all that we did was heat up the ends of the butt connectors here to shrink them down over the wires. Just used a lighter to do that, and then I just wrapped it in electrical tape since I don't have big enough heat shrink to be able to go around the whole thing here. I just wrapped it a couple times back and forth to kind of keep it as watertight as possible. So now that that one's done, we're going to move on to the next one, and we'll see you in a minute. Alright, left side is all good to go now. Let's get these things connected up. One thing I actually also noticed when I was routing the wires is my reverse button wiring here is actually cut, whether it's from riding or something along the way, but that might have been the reason why my reverse button was giving me some issues last season, so let's definitely get that fixed while we're in here. Alright, so I got part of the black protective cut away there. It looks like it's only just the red and white wire right here, so I'm going to get that fixed up. We'll get a new connector on there. Unfortunately, I don't have any solder, so I can't solder it, which would be the best way to do it, and then obviously put a new heat shrink over it there, but we're going to go ahead and get this fixed up though. All right, all good to go. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but for good measure, I did wrap the connectors down below with electrical tape as well, just to kind of keep as much water out as possible. They did have a little bit of corrosion on them, but nothing to be too concerned about. So we'll see how she does. Next up, we're going to do some cable management with everything, throw some zip ties on here and get everything a little bit tighter to the handlebars and the steering post. Alright guys, I did have to fast forward a little bit through the day. I found an issue with the mounts on my handlebars, so I did have to fix that. I'll show you real quick. So the bolts right here that go up into, up past this spacer right here and up into the oversized clamps for the bars here. Two of them were actually loose. I don't remember loosening them at all, so I had an issue with them loosening up by themselves last year, so I went ahead and just replaced them with stainless steel. Ran to Lowe's real quick to get the bolts as well as new nuts here as well. So what was going on, for some reason, even though I had lock washers on the old ones, it was still loosening up for some reason, so I went ahead and just replaced them with newer ones. And you can see where I put all the zip ties for the wiring, just to hold it as close as possible to the bars so that they're not sticking out and getting hung up on branches or anything like that while I'm going through the trees. Alright, now let's get this little guy replaced. As you can see, that little guy is torn up. That spindle tore right through it, just punctured it. Other side's good, but get that thing replaced. All right, we got the new one right here going in. The large side goes towards the back. Obviously, shorter side goes towards the front. Doing this by yourself is definitely not advisable because it is a pain in the butt, but it's doable. The biggest part is getting the bolt through here with a new rubber like that. These things are so tough to be able to get this in there. Just takes a little bit of persuasion, and she's in. Alright, just like that, we're all good to go. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We got a lot of snowmobile content, as well as a lot of truck content here coming very soon. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.